And welcome back to 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody. I'm here with
Haley Handson.
Haley. How are you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Yes. We were actually just chatting real briefly before this. The fact that we both actually, I guess, really enjoyed it, the movie. And that doesn't happen all the time. I'm
No,
not
I
gonna
was
lie.
very pleasantly surprised.
I know. I mean, you hear the title "Bury the Bride," and you don't know really. You know somewhat of what you're getting yourself into, but you don't know the full thing. Did you look anything up or like look at any
No,
trailers before
no,
watching it?
no. I wanted to go in blind, and I think that paid off.
I do too. And by the way, there will be spoilers on here, but it's been out for like I think longer than a year or so, like or whatnot. So it's it's enough right now where if you haven't seen it on Tubi, stop watching this, go see it on Tubi, come back and finish watching this review because you're gonna be upset when we spoil the thing that the big twist in it and it has to be sort of spoiled and I'm going to do it right now because and get it out of the way because that I want to talk about this real quick. Trailers these days show you everything,
Yes.
right? And I heard this trailer for this movie, they tried not to show the twist or whatever, which is great. But look at like Abigail,
Mhm.
right? How cool would it have been for people to go there and just like say the trailers just showed her just being a kick-ass little girl,
Yeah.
and not show that she was a vampire? Like, could you imagine like that,
That would have
And
been so powerful. Yeah.
I know it would have been better. People would have been talking about it. It probably would have got a lot more press. It's just like from Dusk Till Dawn, some people did not know there were vampires in that movie before when they went to go see it.
Mhm.
One of my substitute teachers in eighth grade, was one of them, or whatever. So he told me, like, there was a movie I just saw this weekend and had vampires. It was fucking weird. And I was like,
I remember being surprised by that one too. It
I
was
don't
all,
think apparently I wasn't surprised because he had already spoiled it for me.
yeah,
But,
right.
'cause I hadn't seen it when I was a kid. I wasn't gonna go to an R-rated movie like that. My parents wouldn't let me do that. But but then you see this movie and it's got the most amazing twist in it, like with that, because like as much as it's vampires, which is the twist, which shocked me a little bit. I don't know if it shocked you.
Oh yeah.
There's a
I,
little bit of a
I gasped. I was whoa.
because you were not expecting it, were you?
No. And honestly, up until that point, I was a little concerned. I'm like, where is this going? Where is this going? Because they really leaned into the bimbo trope, which is fun, but that twist was right when it needed to happen. It was awesome.
Yeah, and they also went into like the redneckism. And
Yes.
like when they did that, I got a little weirded out that I felt like this is going to become a political
Yeah.
thing or something, like those were like a bunch of conservatives and the other people were liberals or something. There was some
It
kind
could
of
have gotten weird. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of gotten weird on that, and I wouldn't have liked it. Like I
No,
wouldn't have liked it that. Like if they had like a Confederate flag that was buried or something, or whatever. Like I
definitely.
wouldn't have liked it. I would have been like, oh God, really? Do we need another one of these? But
Exactly.
they went into the vampire thing because um I don't I don't really know other than that it's a fucking awesome twist. I guess you got to make these guys do this every year, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the plan is to do this
Teen.
every year. Yeah, and they just get a new bride that wants to get married really quickly, and stuff, and they kind of explain that. But man, like I wanted more backstory too. Like I wanted to see like if they did a prequel to this, that would be cool. Like I would be okay with that,
That would be
even though
epic.
you sort of know he doesn't die, but like, you know, like how Chaz Bono became part of their group.
Exactly.
What
Poor
a, what,
Chloe.
what a crazy cast too, right?
Was. The acting was very good.
Chaz Bono. I've seen that he's acted in things and I've never I haven't seen like what he's acted in. So when his name popped up, I was like, wait, because for a second I forgot that that was Sonny and Cher's kid, so or yeah, I think it's a kid, yeah. And I was just like, wait a minute. Like, where did like, is he related to the bone? Right? And I was like, I looked it up. I was like, yep, okay, okay, because totally forgot. But I do think I knew his name, Chaz Bono, before.
Yeah.
And now he's like executive producing films, and he's helping Spider One out a lot. It seems like he's in.
Yeah, I noticed that he was a producer on this, and that was really cool.
He
I
was a
think that was a good move.
producer on this. He's a producer on their next one, Big Baby.
Mhm.
And this company is I think it's called One Fox Productions, and it's Spider One and Chrissy Fox. Chrissy Fox is the main girl in it, or whatever, the sister of Scout Taylor Compton and everything. And I thought the bride was going to be the lead, especially since it was. But when I sort of saw on IMDb that they were credited, like she was credited first. I was like, okay, so the sister's the lead
Yeah.
and everything. And she did a really wonderful job. They had done a movie that's on Shudder that I want to see. I'm gonna re-up my Shudder at some point and watch this. It's called Allegoria,
Mhm.
and it's the movie they did right before this one,
Okay, cool.
and so so yeah, Big Baby's gonna come out probably either this year or next year, probably closer to next year. I don't know. And that has Catherine Corcoran from Terrifier 1, and it's got what is it? And it's got Chrissy Fox from Terrifier 3. So I'm wondering if there's another Terrifier 2 girl in there
That would be
somewhere that's
cool.
acting, because then it would be like the Terrifier movie,
Yeah.
I don't know if that was what they were trying to go with. That's kind of cool. And then it's got Kirby Bliss Blanton, who I love, who I adore, and I've met her physically, so she's really sweet. So I'm really looking forward to that one, and everything. But yeah, Spider One, man. All of these directors are rock stars are becoming directors now. Have you noticed that?
That's cool. I
It,
like seeing that transition.
I do too. It works when it works.
Yeah.
Like Rob Zombie started it basically, I feel like. And but he was a huge horror fan from the
Yeah.
very beginning. Like his last name he it got changed to Zombie, like whatever, right? But uh then what is it? Danzig. I don't know if you've seen his two movies, but they're they're pretty bad,
Oh, geez. I haven't seen those ones yet.
Yeah.
I loved Rob Zombie's new Monsters movie. That was amazing.
I I thought it was okay. Like I wanted to love it more, and a lot of people are. Like I know a lot of people attached to it. Like a lot of people from his group are attached to it and stuff. And I really wanted to love it more. I think to me it sort of missed the mark, but that was me. Like the fact that you love it is great, because I feel like it is people who really loved it, or just people who just thought it could have been better. And I'm like, that kind of sucked, because I was kind of wanting like a Munsters trilogy, or something, or at least bring back the series or something with like some of the
That would have
cast.
been really cool. Yeah.
Right. And but unfortunately I think it didn't do very well, and it just kind of flopped like that. So I think that kind of sucks. But I do love Rob Zombie. I think he's really good at his type of horror movies.
Mhm.
And I think um I wasn't really a big fan of Danzig's yet. Like his stuff is bad, like, but at least he's doing them, and they're getting made and they're getting put out, and he's trying. Hopefully his next movie, if he makes another one, will be better, or whatever. But then this one, and then I've heard Allegoria is really good, and I think Spider One's done a few other stuff. So I think, Spider One, I saw an interview with him, and he was saying something about how he started late in his career of directing, and now he's trying to make up for it. So he's going to be putting out more content as much as possible. So
That's great.
yeah, but I guess we'll go into the story, and I mean we already said the twist, but we'll get to that. So like it's about a bunch of girls on a bachelorette party. This like is the way that most horror films start,
Mhm.
and you could sort of tell, like what did you think of the chemistry between the girls?
I thought it was really good. It felt natural. Um, Again, I kind of thought that Carmen's character was a little over the top, but you kind of need that to offset the other serious characters. So I enjoyed it. And I really thought that they felt like lived in Liz's character, especially with the dry humor that has to put up with the other friends. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, Liz was the nerdy one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to because like there was
There's, Betty was,
Betty was and she's the only actress that never worked with all the other girls. The other girls had all worked together before. So, she was kind of the one brought in like last minute, but she was really good.
yeah, I think she fit in with them great.
I know I like my you wouldn't have known. Like, I think if you're a really good actor, you can do that. You can just feel like you're all friends, and everything. So they were really well done, group of girls, and yeah, Chrissy Fox played the I'm really bad at names and everything. What was her name? She wasn't holy crap, my brain. Um, she
There
was
was
the
June. June is the
June. Yep.
bride.
June's the bride, and that's Scout Taylor Compton from Halloween 2, speaking Rob Zombie,
Yeah.
and Halloween. Um, she was Laurie Strode in those.
Okay.
Um, and so then there's Chrissy Fox plays Sadie.
Sadie.
Um, Chrissy Fox, what?
I could not remember Sadie. That was the only one.
Yeah, that was the name. For some reason, 'cause they didn't say her name as much.
No.
I like they
She was a
always
big
just
part, so it's kind of strange, but
they called her sister like the whole time. Your sister,
yeah.
blah blah blah. They don't say Sadie. They say
That's
your sister. So like most of the time you're not thinking about her last name. But I mean, like I said, she works, I think she's married. Don't quote me on that, but like I read somewhere that it said like wife of Spider, one.
Oh,
So
okay.
I feel like they're married, but like it's never like it's been weird like looking up this stuff because I just can't find any like direct thing saying that,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny considering they're doing a movie called Bury the Bride together.
Yeah.
Right.
Watch
And
out,
then
Sadie.
yeah. Watch out indeed. But she's been in a bunch of horror films. She was in a movie called Frank. Um she was in that she wrote and directed. Nice. Good
Wow.
for her.
That's all.
Um, yeah, she co-wrote this with Spider, and I think what Spider said was that he got the idea from her because she has sisters and she's always being protective of them,
Oh, yeah,
both the
that comes
sisters.
through.
Yeah, and so she sort of they wrote this as like what would happen um if this sort of situation were to come, I guess come into play. She was also in Underworld Evolution. She was Tanis Vamp #1. Back then she was called Christine Danielle. Um, let's see, I guess she changed her name. Well, she's gone through a few names on these things. I don't know if she just changes her names uh to to not be whatever, but since I guess I don't know, since Frank and whatnot, she's been Chrissy Fox. Um, then let's see. So she was Sadie. Uh, let's go with all the girls first. Carmen was played by Lindsay LaRose, and Lindsay LaRose was an Ant-Man. She was
Oh,
Emily in Ant-Man. I don't know that particular character. I would guess a small character. She was in the Divergent series Insurgent as Amity teacher. Um, she's been in a few things, a few big movies. But aside from that, I don't really recognize much of the stuff that she's been in. She was in Allegoria with everybody, and she's in a movie called Little Bites that Spider One is directing. So
cool.
also directed. That's in post production. He directed two movies, I guess, back to back. So that's a little weird. And that one has Heather Langenkamp, Barbara Crampton, Chrissy Fox, obviously, Chaz Bono, Lindsay
Cool.
LaRose. I mean, that's got a pretty good group of stuff. So I'm looking forward to like seeing all these movies all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Like, he's not kidding about him trying to make up time and direct as many
that's so
movies.
great.
I know, right? Like, I mean, when by the way, this movie was 7 days, shot in 7 days.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and he said like basically he had shot in 7 days and they would shoot at night because most of it takes place at night. There is a 180 problem I have with the movie, and I'll tell it now, I guess, but there was a time where it was day and then all of a
And
sudden
it
it's
jumped
night.
right to night. That bothered me too.
And I was like, either the editing was very bad in that, or like the writing just didn't figure it out, like, whatever,
Yeah, because they
whatever
were
it
in the
was.
middle of running, and then all of a sudden it's dark outside. I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, like when
Get a
next shot is
sunset.
dark, and I'm like, that was very jarring.
Yes.
Um, that was probably my only problem with the movie, like really, literally the only problem. Because like the rest of it, I could get behind and I was into,
Yeah.
everything. Like it's one of these movies that I'm like, you can't look down at your phone because
Yeah.
if you
You'll miss
do,
something.
you literally miss something. You
Yeah.
have to go back and like go, wait, but I like,
It's nice to be fully immersed in something because it's worth your attention, though. It's good.
and there's, oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, the score was really good too. It was perfectly synced up with they're looking over their shoulder. Like it was really well done.
Yeah, so that scene where they're running, but like before that, I
Yeah.
guess got to the car, and even before then, they're all running out together, all three of the girls, and then all of a sudden, the one girl is not, I could not see her,
Mhm.
in any of the frames, and I tried looking, and I don't know if she was like in front of the girls or something, and then they turn around, they like it's dark or whatever, and they're like, where's Betty?
Yeah, they lost Betty, and then it was dark out.
And
That that was an oversight. That shouldn't have happened, but it
Yeah.
was
And then did Betty die? 'Cause I don't
she did,
remember.
yeah.
I saw her in the trailer and it was dark in the trailer. And she heard I thought she heard she kept calling for Carmen, and I'm like, they said Carmen was dead, so if Carmen's
Yeah,
alive, she ain't, you don't want to be around her.
she was a snack for Carmen, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So she did see, I didn't see Carmen for some reason. Maybe I just didn't see it through my TV or something,
It
but
was very dark, and they showed her face for a brief second to reveal the fangs. But if you didn't know that she was calling out Carmen, Carmen, I probably wouldn't have noticed that that's who that was.
okay. All right. Good. Good. I'm not like, so yeah. So it happened, but like, and then of course the two girls, and then I guess, yeah. So I just like, this is my only problem. It's like it went from day to night, and it was like day to like sort of evening, like sundown to all of a sudden night,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that was a jump. But other than that, like I didn't really have much of an issue, I mean, it's hard to light the dark like that and be dark, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because I mean, you've been in movies, right? You've
Yes.
acted in movies and stuff. So like when you shoot a scene that's dark, you have to shoot it, but you have to light it so people can
It's
see the
hard,
person, but
but it
not
still looks dark. Yeah.
right and still look dark. So
So
there
when, sorry, go ahead.
so there are movies that we've done on Indie Film Cafe where we
Hmm.
rated them and then we go, "Oh God, that looked, like that looked bad," because like we can't see anything at all.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what's going on. And my buddy one of my buddies will fall asleep if that happens because it just puts him to sleep,
Yeah.
or whatever and stuff. And so when we're reviewing movies, we just really don't like that. Like that gives a bad rating for us, when we see stuff.
I agree with that for sure because it's important to see what's happening, even if it is dark. I thought it was interesting that they lit up the inside of the truck when the guys were driving Carmen out too. So it almost looked like it was a phone in front of her that was casting the light on her, but it was still pretty bright though.
Right,
It's a delicate balance of, ooh, you're showing way too much light on the character and not being able to see them at all.
right. Like, and well, they had to do that for what was the girl who's in the car?
Carmen.
Carmen. Okay. Well, later they had to do that again for the other girl.
when they're in the hot tub or
But no, when they were in the car and he ate her in
oh
the
oh
car,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
had to actually show her lit up pretty well because I mean, you have to because the was it uh Sadie had to see it happen, right? And regularly I hate to say it, but regularly you're not going to see that. Like
Yeah.
you're
It would
not,
have
you're going to see
been
something happen, but you're not going to see that there was blood everywhere or
yeah.
whatever and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it worked for the movie, but in real life, she would have been like, what just like did they just argue? Did he just like hit her,
Yeah.
or something? Like that's literally what it's going to look like because it looked like he just like attacked her, like jumped on her or something.
Yeah.
Not that he ate
Are they
her.
kissing? Wait, no.
What?
Are they kissing? Like, what's
Yeah,
going on? Because he just lunges towards her face. I was like,
I
whoa.
I know. Like, is he making out with
That
that would really piss off the sister. Oh,
would have been a different plot twist for sure.
yeah, your boyfriend is now making out with your best friend, and yeah. Well, I don't know. They were getting it. That those two characters, June and God, yeah, it's not Betty. It was Liz. They got into like because she got drunk that night and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was quite the fight. Oof.
Got into a huge fight with each other and it put drama in there, but did you like that the next morning they were 100% okay with each
Shook
other?
it off.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had made it. I mean, you blame the alcohol, but it was almost like, yeah, they should have been a little bit more upset.
It should have still been like
A
a little
little bit
mad.
salt in the wound.
I know
Yeah,
because I mean they've been friends for so long apparently.
it cut to
And
the bone with that fight.
I know, but yeah, she was being very honest and both of them were, you
Yeah,
know. But both of them had alcohol and then the sister got into it with her saying basically, like yeah, we don't like this guy because we don't know him, and all of a sudden you're like ready to get married to some dude we don't know. And yeah, I like that. But that fight was that ended that that was pretty much like it went to commercial on my Tubi. I don't know if it did that
yeah,
for you. And then it came back and they were fine. I'm like, that was weird. Like that was almost like a weird transition of like, oh, we're fine now, everything's okay. And I guess they had to have that because, they had to get protective of each other or whatever. Um, and then when Carmen left to go with them, to go hunt with them,
yeah,
which I it's like, eh, this is just very sketchy to begin with.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think it would have made much of a difference if another one went with them, or if I mean, the whole group went with them, then they probably, I don't know, they might have done it, but it would have been hard. The way I was seeing it, and like, because you were saying earlier that you thought like, where's this going, or whatever, what's happening, and then it happens, right?
Yeah.
And everything. I thought it was going to be completely different. I thought it was going to be like the most dangerous game on earth,
Mhm.
kind of thing. I've
Yeah.
seen it a billion times in different movies, like The Hunt and other movies like that where they say, "Oh, we ain't hunting deer. We're hunting
Hunting
human."
you. Yeah.
Yeah, hunting human. You gotta run. If you can make it back to the cabin, you can live or something like that. And then they would go after him. I thought that's where it was gonna go. Then it went to the vampire thing, and I was like, oh, that's still that's cool. And they kind of made it like that where they said they give them a head start to leave, so it's kind
Yeah.
of becomes like they're hunting them a little bit. So I
Definitely.
guess that worked in the long run, but. Um, and then Chaz Bono's character, Puppy,
Puppy.
and he was called that because well, he claims. Do you think any of what he said was true?
I kind of do. I
You
feel like
do?
they didn't necessarily need to kill him, but the safe move is to kill him.
The safe move is to kill him because, first of all, put him out of his misery.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
suffering.
yeah, he's a vampire now, and he doesn't even want to be one.
And
You
his
know?
friends suck.
Yeah, like he doesn't, and they weren't even his friends originally,
Yeah, they weren't
apparently.
his friends. He's
He
a
just
captive.
Yeah, he was just captive because I mean, I guess he could have left at any time. Like I don't. I, I don't, well, I guess not because because I was even thinking that like, why don't they just run period as far as they can go, like sneak out? Why do they need the keys? Just go as
Yeah,
far as you can, as fast as you can. But then again, they might catch up to them and just kill them anyway.
yeah,
So, at least if they try to get the keys and try to leave, then, at least they'll maybe have a quicker chance to survive. But there's no real good decision that's able to be made in those things because you have to when things like that are happening, you have to think quick, and everything because otherwise you're gonna die, you know?
absolutely. I loved the scene where Mike was shot, the initial vampire kill. I thought that was perfectly timed out.
Which part was that when
The grizzly hillbilly, the bigger one,
right?
when she takes the gun and shoots him immediately without hesitation, I thought that that was going to be the whole room was going down at that moment. But that
Mm,
hesitation was like, whoa, okay, why are you waiting?
yeah.
And then it turned out they didn't have bullets anyway. So,
Yeah, I thought it was gonna go like yeah, I thought it was gonna go like that. And then I thought and he even said, because when they captured all three of them originally and stuff and put them into that room, they said something to the effect of like what is it? I'm gonna give you two choices. Both of them work for me. Either I shoot her in the head, that's it. You know, or I eat her and then rip out her guts. Which I'm
yeah,
like, why do you have to do the guts thing? Like, I mean, I guess that's just I don't know.
he was really hungry.
I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the whole burying twist was interesting too, because that's not a normal thing with vampires that you put them completely under. It's a quick change usually, or the exchange back and forth. But
Exactly.
the haunted soil, ooh,
I like that. I
I
did
liked
like
it too.
I liked it too because like it's almost like Pet Cemetery, except for
Yeah,
human, once again for humans. So it was the idea that the soil, I guess, in that land it was cursed, and could bring anybody back from the dead. And so I was, as a vampire, I guess, right?
yeah, yeah.
So not as a zombie. Now, that's where I thought it was going originally when I heard the title, Bury the Bride.
It
I
did feel
thought,
like a zombie title for sure.
yeah. And I think even the cover was a hand coming out of the grave, you know. So my first thought was, okay, is this gonna be like a zombie bride that comes back and starts eating all the people, which also would have been cool,
Yeah,
but then again, they probably would have given that role to one of the other girls who wasn't the bigger name. Like Scout Taylor Compton was a really big name, and so was Chrissy Fox to that story. So we probably would have given it to maybe the girl who played Betty would have been the
yeah,
bride or something, and then she would have came back and they would have to figure out how to kill her. But they didn't do that. They went with the vampire route, which doesn't usually happen with the Barry. I think that was a very good choice of a title because you don't think of burying a vampire,
yeah,
And so I think it throws people off when they hear it because hopefully they have no clue, you know.
yeah.
Hopefully they don't go watch this movie or go like watch all the reviews before and see all the spoilers, you know. But I mean, you can't talk about this movie without spoiling it. Otherwise, you're only going to talk about it for like 10 minutes,
Exactly.
right? Because like there's no, like the twist is the best part of the movie, in
Yes,
my opinion. Um,
definitely.
and it happens, and all of a sudden these girls have to figure out, and man, so there's a line in film where it says if a gun is shown in the first act, it has to go off by the third act.
Oh,
And the
okay.
gun in this movie was, in the what a metaphorical gun in this movie was the hot tub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they show the hot tub.
Yeah.
So they're like all excited, go check out the hot tub. And there's like they said a goat's head in the,
Mhm.
there, which I couldn't tell that was a goat's head. I just thought that was just disgusting, whatever
Just
it was.
gross. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, ugh. And so then they had to get in it, but then they left gun out. And they
Hmm.
even make a joke about like, or not joke, but like they say like basically that guy must be a complete idiot because he picked up the gun but didn't even check the the hot tub, which kind of makes sense for that character. I don't think the character was very smart.
Yeah.
David. His name was David, which I didn't like in a way.
Oh no, I lost your audio. Oh no. I can't hear you. Oh no.
Can you hear
There
me
you
now?
are.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I think I kicked the machine here. So no, but the character's name was David, which
Mhm.
I wasn't a big fan of because there's a little movie called Lost Boys.
Mhm.
Maybe that was the plan, but
Yeah.
Kiefer, he kind of had a Kiefer Sutherland thing going for him,
I hadn't
a
made
little
that
bit.
connection, but that, yeah.
Yeah, and when I watched it after I saw the vampire twist, I'm like, was that on purpose that he was named David, or was that just a probably a chance. Like, I don't think that was purpose. I don't think they planned that, but I don't know. Maybe if I ever get to
Maybe,
interview
right?
Spider
Yeah,
One, I'll ask,
definitely.
you know. Who knows? But I thought that was kind of like I wasn't a big fan of that just because I was like, oh man, it kind of already reminds me of Lost Boys a little bit. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I I would say Lost Girls, but the Lost Boys were the vampires, and so this is it's another Lost Boys movie in a way. Like,
Yeah.
you
Because
know,
they draw them into the den and everything. Yeah, I could see that.
yeah, which is kind of cool. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you had to describe it as anything, it's like Lost Boys. Uh, I don't know what it means because, like, I don't think I've ever seen anything exactly like this.
No.
Like you've seen movies where the girls are, in a secluded cabin in the middle of nowhere, who does that for a bachelorette party?
Exactly. They're set
I
up in a really interesting position from the get-go because no one really wants to be there other than
Yeah,
to support their friend. And you're like, it's not like they all started off with the party right off the bat. They're all like really apprehensive before anything even starts, which kind of heightens the anxiety too. It's very
yeah.
interesting.
Like the part where they walk in and they're like, "Ooh, this smells,"
Tell you
And I'm like, "So you're
why
gonna
are you
stay
doing
there?"
that? Exactly.
Like
The
I
red
would have
flags were there, ladies. Come on.
I know. You like, "Oh, well my fiance set this up."
He must not like you very
I
much.
know, like,
Leave
well
you in
shit.
a go in the hot tub in a stinky house with dirty refrigerator. The set work on this was insane. I don't know how much of that was just they found like a rundown house or if they did a lot of that personally, but the refrigerator was disgusting. I bought
Refrigerator the refrigerator was disgusting, the hot tub was
the hot tub
disgusting.
nasty.
Everything was just like, why would you
Blech.
no?
I would have been
Like
like, yeah, no.
they were
Letting
there in the day too. They could have left
they could have
or
left.
night and gone to a hotel somewhere and all pitched in for a hotel, like hung out and had a good time. But the point really was not just for them to be at that nasty, dinky, disturbing place, but for them to have what um what's his name? For them to have David come to there and he says like he sneaks in. Like they do it really well, like because you see this in movies all the time where the knock, knock, knock on the cabin, and you're like, I mean, there's even that movie called Knock on the Cabin.
Yeah.
But you go in there and then there's nobody there. Oh, great. This is starting to look really good now, like what is because I thought right then and there, I literally thought home invasion movie. Uh-oh. Right? Because they're in the middle of nowhere. This is perfect the strangers kind of thing.
Yes.
But then turns out he was there and she screams and does this whole thing where I'm like, okay, you're doing this for the movie.
Yeah.
Nobody in their right mind would do that just to fuck with their friends like that and sister. Like that's really fucked up, you
Yeah.
know. And especially why would the sister be like the sister had met him once,
Yeah.
apparently. Apparently. because she said he was missing teeth.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the point of that was exactly. They bring it
I'm
back.
wondering if that's the fangs,
It could, maybe it is. I don't know.
you know,
I
because
kind of want to watch it again soon just to reevaluate everything. But the teeth comment was a little strange.
it
And
was.
I think it had to do with the fangs.
I think so because like that's the only thing I can think of because Spider did say in his interview that the plan that they that they try to throw hints in there that he's a
Okay.
vampire. So I think the teeth thing was, because now that I'm like thinking about it, because this wasn't what I was thought during the interview, but I'm like, oh shit, okay, so that sort of makes sense if they mentioned teeth.
Yeah.
What is the only like creature that we see in these horror films that deal with teeth pretty much most of the time? That or like a monster or can't be a zombie if he's like normal,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
They tried
Uh,
that with warm bodies, but
yeah, I mean, I guess because I tried that. I wrote the script when I was young, very young, and I wrote the script called Grave Roberts, and it was like a zombie that got buried and came back to life, or whatever. This guy came back to life and he became like a superhero zombie, or whatever. So he could talk, he could walk, he could whatever, and it's fine. He was just dead and everything. That script is long gone, and if I ever revisit making it, I will, but I doubt it. It was just a silly idea that I had, but it was based on that name because instead of Grave Roberts,
I
so
like that. Yeah, that's fun.
yeah, so that was the twist. But anyway, um, this movie has so much funness to it, and I just enjoyed all the characters.
Hmm.
Even the villains were just interesting,
Yeah.
because they they were assholes. Um, I mean, nobody can dispute that. They weren't nice guys like when they show up, they like say nasty things. They call the one girl like, they basically call her a lesbian and
Yeah.
it and everything. And Carmen's just all into it. She thinks it's funny. I don't know what she was planning, she was kind of flirting with all of them, which I
Yeah.
thought like,
That's
why?
dangerous. Yeah.
But why? Like
Exactly.
they didn't seem like they were her type, you
No,
know?
no, which might have been the fun of it because alcohol was involved. But
Yeah.
it was interesting. I'm like, man, she really likes them for some reason. It was funny too because the two groups foil each other in so many ways of just this is the really cohesive female unit versus the male unit and trying to force them to meet up before it all goes horribly wrong was interesting.
I mean, yeah, I never really thought about it, but it is girls versus boys,
Yeah,
and
it
everything.
definitely has themes of that.
I know, and like, and really, it's not and if the boys had won, right, that would have been okay, but the boys were the bad guys. you
Yeah,
know. So really, you knew that the boys weren't going to win, and these girls weren't like Mary Sue's or anything. They weren't people who just kind of like all of a sudden they have these, they get knocked down, they get thrown
yeah,
around everywhere. They're not they're smart, but they're not that smart. Like
yeah,
June tries to shoot her husband and it doesn't work,
yeah,
and she's like, shit, right? And if she were I mean, there's no way to counter that because like how does she know that that gun wasn't loaded?
mhm.
Or was it loaded though? Even though it didn't shoot once, does that mean that, there was no bullets in there? I don't know. I guess not, but you know, you
Could
see
have
what
been
I'm saying?
it could have been a misfire. That's true.
Yeah.
She definitely should have clicked a few more times to be sure.
But problem was like once she unclicked that one time, he could have just killed
Yeah,
Betty at that particular moment if he wanted to. He
it was a surprising choice that he didn't, honestly. But
what?
he wanted to play with them more, I think. So
Yeah, this became a game for them,
mhm.
like this is a this is their wedding weekend thing, and this is what they like to do. And like I said, I would have loved a prequel because I would love to see, and that's the beautiful thing about doing a prequel of vampires
Mhm.
is that they don't age, right?
Yeah,
Or whatever. So you could do, you could do it or whatever the next year and it'll be fine. It's not like you have to prequel, you have to have them be like 12 years old or something. They can stay that same age and just do it like a year earlier and see how Puppy became part of the group.
Yeah.
So if they ever wanted to.
How long do you think they were vampires? I couldn't tell if they necessarily addressed how long they had been undead for, but it seemed like they had been a very cohesive group. So I don't know if they had been friends for 10 years or I don't know. I couldn't
Is
picture how long of a afterlife they had had.
so was it five guys or four guys?
Ooh,
I
there
want to
was,
say
I think
four. Four, I think.
there was Puppy, Dave, Mike, the
And
blonde one that gets stuck in the bear trap.
yeah. Um
There might be four.
Bobby. Bobby, which I don't think his name's ever said in the movie,
I
you
think
know?
I think they might have called at him once when he was actually in the trap because he was mad at him. But yeah,
Yeah,
they didn't like, hey Bobby all the time.
right. Well, like I said, like some of those people, they said their names over and over again, so you
Yeah,
sort of knew, like Betty, and they call her Betty Boop a lot, and shit. That was like their
old
joke.
Grandma Betty.
Which also makes them seem like they were older because like how many newer people actually even know who Betty Boop is?
Yeah.
How many like maybe my generation might still know like millennials, but people like in Gen X or something, they definitely were not Gen X, at
Yeah.
least. So they were probably I would say they've been around for at least, 30 or 40 years. If but they never says. And
Yeah.
and that's another thing, like you could find out like more of their backstory of how they turned into vampires, like who turned them into vampires, like why, and there's so much of this that could be explored that there could have been a series with this because that's kind of cool, like just the idea of like vampire. And is this a game that all the vampires play? Because they talked about this like this is a family thing,
Mhm.
like they bury their bourbon in the ground before the wedding is a family tradition. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if the hunting is part of and killing their bride and burying the bride. Because they even say that was bury the
Mhm.
uh
Bury the
bury
bottle, bury the bride.
bury the bottle, bury the bride. And that was perfect,
And
honestly.
now that you mention it too, it almost feels like an older tradition. Like maybe they really were older vampires rather than just recently turned because he was so involved with mentioning scripture and stuff like that too, which I thought was really interesting because a lot of times the vampires are so anti-Christian in a lot of ways
Well,
or aware of their enemy maybe. I don't know.
well, good point, because there was a lot of anti-vampire stuff here. Like there was stuff that normally don't go into vampire lore. They talk about crosses and stuff, and then Puppy's like, "Oh," and then he starts laughing at them because I knew that was
Yeah.
happening. I knew that it was not good. Like the way he overreacted, I was like,
Yeah.
he's just playing with them right now, and because they're like, it's working, you
That
know.
part killed me. Girl, it's not working.
It's not working. He's just fucking with you right now.
Uh,
Um, but then he turned out to be able to talk. And I don't
that
know.
was a shocking twist. I'm not sure why they incorporated him being mute before that if he could talk.
I think they just wanted him to be mute. Like
But
they're
yeah, maybe
like probably telling him just shut the fuck up, don't say anything,
stand
because
in the corner and be quiet, puppy.
yeah, because you're not anything. Because he doesn't sound anything like those guys. Those
Yeah,
guys sound more gruff and more
got the southern draws.
what?
They got the southern draws.
Yeah,
His
and
voice
they
is cool. David's voice, it was almost hard to understand him. His accent was very real. I grew up in West Virginia. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he sounds Appalachian.
and he had yeah, he had this lowness to him, kind of gruffy
Yeah.
ness to him, and I like that, and it was very commanding,
Mhm.
and very kind of scary
Yeah.
because like even when he's just like having fun with them, like he kind of turns at points, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh God, this guy's
Yeah.
kind of
Normally you would just think
scary.
he's kind of a like abusive. He kind of gave off those red flags, not necessarily the full monster up at the beginning, but you're like, he doesn't seem like he plays well in fights.
I know. The guy who played him was Dylan Rourke. Oh, please tell me he's related to Mickey Rourke,
Right.
because that would be awesome. I don't see any information on him at all, other than that he's 6'2", apparently. Um, he did seem pretty tall.
Yeah.
Um, but he was, I mean, he's been in a few things. He was in the show. He was at a barkeep in the show Timeless. He was in an episode of Grey's Anatomy. So Modern Family, he was in a episode of that. So he's been in some stuff.
Mhm.
Aquarius, the David Duchovny show. So he's been in a couple things. But and he's been in a couple movies, but I'm like looking at that going, I don't know. I don't know any of these. There are a lot of like independent stuff, it seems, you
Mhm.
know. So, but
A
I
lot
really
of
liked
TV
him.
shows too. Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah,
Good character.
he did a really good job. Scary.
Yeah.
The other guys, I want to say, so Adam Marcinowski. If I pronounce that wrong, I'm sorry, Adam. Um, but he was the one who played Mike, and he's been in some stuff. He's in a TV show that I've never heard of, but it's called Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Oh, he was in Allegoria, so he's already worked with these guys.
Aw.
He was in Once Upon a Superhero, some movie. He played a character named Solar Flare, so I'm guessing he played a superhero. And I'm not seeing anything else. General Hospital, he played a cop in an episode of that. Um, NCIS. I mean, a lot of these guys are probably SAG actors who
What it
have
seems
been,
like a lot of TV shows.
yeah, like if you watch soap operas or like crime dramas or whatever. Um, Bobby, I guess the guy that got his foot stuck in the bear trap. Carmen Cowperthwaite. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that either, right? But he was on an episode of American Horror Story. He was in Monster, which not the TV series Monster. TV series. Oh, he was in an episode of Shameless. Um, and let's see, Pledge, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So he's been once again, these people have been in like, countless TV shows and stuff. So they're, constantly working. And Chaz Bono, I mean, like we said before, he's been in some stuff. He was in American Horror Story as well. I don't know which season. He was in the Degrassi The Next Generation. Interesting. I used to like that show. Then I just didn't stop watching it. But he was in Secret Life of the American Teenager, American Horror Story in 13 episodes. So he's in chapter 1, 3, 5, 6, 10 of the sixth season, and he came back for the seventh season, the election season,
Mhm.
where it's like all political and stuff. Which I was not a big fan of that. Like the idea, I don't like politics, and once again, I think I talked about this earlier, but I don't like politics in my movies because I'm like, I see enough of that on Facebook. Like,
Exactly.
I don't need that stuff in my movies too, because then a lot of times it's like one-sided, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, oh, these people are dumb and these people are blah 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 blah, right? And
Yeah.
so I hate it. I'm like, stop doing that. Or it's the other way around, and the normal people that are dumb are the smarter ones
Hmm.
and stuff. And it's like, oh, I know which side you're on, you
Yeah.
know? And I just hate it. So I was not a big fan of that season, but glad that he was working on that. And I guess that's how he got into horror, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um and I mean being Sonny and Cher's son is kind of cool. So
Definitely.
um, so there you go. Then let's see. So I guess those are all the main people. Like I think there might have been. Did we miss anyone that I mentioned to mention in there? Like Liz was Rachel Brunner, and she was the nerdy girl,
Mhm.
that they thought might be a lesbian. Uh she had been in a few things with those girls, like she was in Allegoria, Frank. Is she gonna be in the new ones? No, guess she's doing her own thing now. So, I'm really like happy to have these characters be in this movie. This movie was really well done,
Yeah.
you know. So, did was there anything that you really like that we missed that you really wanted to talk about?
I think we covered it pretty good. It was
Yeah,
really, I just appreciate how unique it was and well done. And the little things like the time gap. It's worth ignoring because I'd watch it again. Like it'll annoy me when I see it, but it's worth skipping over that part.
I mean, I know that cause you're also a filmmaker, and so the filmmaker in you is probably like,
Yeah.
like, how can you let that slip? Like,
Yeah.
how can that happen? Uh,
Well, that brings me back to the 7 day turnaround on the filming. That's really
mhm.
unheard of. I worked on a ultra low budget film last year, and we were in the mountains for 10 days, and that's still. I, I don't know how we got done what we did in that amount of time, and probably shouldn't have. But
I
7 days for that is very impressive.
I mean, I remember shooting a short film in, what is it? In a night, one night, and I've done that a couple times. I do
Night
not,
shifts are so bad. They're so
especially one
hard
night.
to
Like,
arrange. Yeah.
I remember doing that, and the AD, it was the first time working with her, and it was her house, right, that we
Oh.
were using. So I really appreciated that. And
Hmm.
then the whole time she was going, "It's 9 o'clock, it's 10 o'clock," because we had to be done by 6, and we
Yeah.
were trying to. And I got mad at one point. I was like, "Stop telling me the time," like I don't want to hear it right now. Like she put like way too much pressure on me at that time, so I was not a big fan of that. But yeah, it was I don't recommend doing things that, oh my God, my cat wants to come up here. All right. So
I'm
my
surprised
cat's gonna
you
say
haven't.
hello.
Aw.
Yeah, I don't like him being around here because he's just gonna get into all the wires
Oh yeah.
and stuff. And he's like messing with my dog at the moment, so they're just
Goodness.
playing around. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like they shouldn't do it that quickly, but and even Spider said in the interview he's never gonna do that again. Like it's just
Yeah.
it was a mistake, but I think
Learned.
it was just like kind of an experience that they chose to do. Oh, he's being really you can't see my chair
I
really.
see him
Okay, he's like trying
popping
to
in and
mess.
out of the blue screen.
Yeah.
Green screen.
Uh, God, he's just no, you're not getting up on there. All right. That's Obi, by the way.
Hi, Opie.
I love him to death, but he's a terror. He's an outdoor cat, which a lot of people hate, but yeah, he's an outdoor cat. So the fact that he's inside right now drives me nuts. Um, because he likes to be outside.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, so there's what is it, 7 days, and so he said he would never do it again. And what they would do is they would shoot at like they would shoot all the way to whatever time, and then they would I can't even finish a
Oh,
sentence
yeah.
without him fucking with me right now. Um anyway, so they would go to the Airbnbs down the road,
Yeah.
get a little bit of sleep, not much, and then go right back to
Oh
shooting.
goodness.
I was like,
That must have been brutal. Yeah.
I know, like basically they were just happy when it finished so they could get rest and stuff and everything. And I was just like, damn, man, like I would not want to do that. Like I need my sleep. I'm sorry. If I get like 6 hours of sleep, I'm a maniac. Like I can't imagine getting like 2 hours of sleep and still focusing and being able to do everything. So good for Spider One.
Note to those girls: get the Airbnb down the street next time.
Did you ever hear what is it? Power Man 5000, his band?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's actually they're pretty good. I remember them back in the 90s when they first started coming out and everything. But I never was like, just like I wasn't a White Zombie fan with Rob Zombie fan, period. Like I didn't like his music. It's not that it's like bad, it's just not my style. My style's like punk, and stuff. So I don't know. You can still hear me, right? Because I think I just
Yeah.
pressed that button again. All right. Stupid thing. So anyway, I guess yeah. So the only thing I wanted to mention at the end was like at the end she buries all the girls and they come back.
Mhm.
So she just has a bunch of friends who are or vampires now.
Yeah,
Like
and are they going to turn her too and start the whole thing that they were hating on the guys for doing? I don't know. I thought that was really interesting that she didn't decide to leave them for dead,
uh, I
honestly.
w- she kind of mentioned that she wouldn't leave her. She'd always be there for her. She'd
Mhm.
protect her. So I think bringing her back was her way of like, you know, sort of
Yeah,
protecting her, but like bringing everybody back from the dead. Which did she? Okay, so the
questionable decision.
the the burying
Mhm.
thing. I thought that was if he bit her, right? If he
Yeah,
like ate her. Did he eat her? Like, did he eat June? I don't remember that.
he no, he ripped her heart out
Right.
and then ate it. So I don't know if he bit into her though or not.
So did she I mean, because I don't know, like I know Carmen attacked and killed
Bet.
Betty.
Yeah.
And so that most likely she ate her. So
Mhm.
that those two got eaten. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. Uh and then what's the other girl? Wait, one June, so that's three. There's one more, right?
Liz
Liz.
got eaten in the car.
That's right, she got eaten in the car. So all of them did get eaten except for maybe
Maybe
June.
what he was saying was by eating her, he wasn't destroying the head because that's how they killed the vampires. She made like June, no, not June, the sister,
Well,
Sadie, decapitated him. Maybe that's what it meant. But it's hard to tell because I don't remember if he actually bit into June after he ripped her heart out. But
so
the heart ripping was definitely what killed her, though.
yeah, definitely. And I was like, yeah, I mean that was a pretty cool, shot and
It's
everything.
intense.
So I liked it. It's funny because like, you get connected with characters and everything, and you're like, oh, I don't want that person to die. But like, if you ever think of it as an actor's perspective, actors love to die in the
I do.
films and stuff because like it's kind of cool. Like you're
Yeah.
never going, and I think it's like you're never gonna see your own death really. Like
Mhm.
you're never gonna see that. Like if you die, right? But you're never gonna be like able to watch yourself like that. You know what I mean? Unless you taped yourself dying, but that would
Yikes.
have yeah. But then and then again, you would be in pain. You wouldn't be probably focusing on that or anything. But like being able to see sort of like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like this is what would happen if somebody ripped my heart out, or whatever, and then ate it, and
My
everything.
goodness. All
Um,
Indiana Jones style.
yeah. And then what is it? And so all of them come back. So yeah, I'm wondering, was that supposed to be like she's now in control of these vampires and I mean, are they gonna how are they gonna feed and is would that did they do this to lead to a sequel? Is my guess.
I kind of feel like it. It's definitely a setup too if they wanted to make that decision because there's so many ways they could take it, which is awesome. And as a viewer, it drives you a little crazy because you're like, what happened?
Well, and
She have
it's
a whole family of vampires to take care of now, or are they gonna make her join? It should be interesting. It would be cool in a way to see if they end up falling into the same patterns
hmm
as the guys do. So I would
well,
like to see another one.
I would too. I would be okay with that. But the problem I see with independent films
Mm,
these days is it's not Hollywood, right? Like,
yeah.
like you can't like they're not a movie making machine. They've already moved on and shot two other movies, Spider one. So and neither of them were a sequel to this. So my guess is no, that there won't be a sequel. Just because it's done, they've moved on to something else. Because I think if you shoot independent films, Generally speaking, if you want to do a sequel, you do it as a trilogy. Like,
Mm,
so you instead of saving up 50 grand, you save up 150 grand. You shoot all three movies back to back, and then you release them every year or whatever, like once
mm.
a year. I see people release them like, in like 6 months or something or even less. I'm like, don't do that.
Don't
Give
do
give
that.
give people at least a year, like
Yeah.
to just see the movie and because then that's the whole like I guess and then there was that big problem with Horizon, which was independently produced, the new Kevin Costner movie that he had got funded from investors and everything, and it tanked in the box office because I hate to say it, he's a great director, he's a great guy, he's a great whatever producer, but he's trying to bring back Westerns.
Yeah.
And we live in a very um different society now where Westerns aren't very as well received because they have very um bad,
Yeah. We know
connotations to
more
them.
about that time period than the glamorized version by now, so it's not a easy sell to make.
Yeah, like I always say, like nobody wants to hear cowboys and I'm gonna say a phrase like well, it's Native Americans, but everybody calls them cowboys and Indians, and nobody wants to see that anymore,
No, no.
because it's very deformatory, and that's just how people view things these days. And so you gotta like kind of read the room. Like nobody wants that, and it kind of sucks because it like I think it bankrupted him, basically doing all this stuff. And I'm just like, go do Yellowstone, like keep doing that. That was doing very well, and that was still in the West. Oh my God. He never does this. He never comes in on my podcast. So I don't know.
Just share with the class.
He literally just jumped on like almost on my head, but on my shoulder. Um, yeah. So and like I would kick him right out, but yeah, I'm gonna let him fuck around for a little bit more here. So yeah, that's about it. I guess that about wraps it up. Thank you, Haley. This has been awesome, and
You.
it was fun. Like I said, it was surprisingly good. Like
Yes.
I've done the 31 days. This is like I don't know 14th day or whatever it is.
Wow.
It's been there have been some rough ones,
Yeah.
and
Which are
everything.
great in their own way,
They
but
can be, but they
it
can
can be.
also
Yeah.
be like tragic because like you're like, oh man, you had a great idea and then you just ruined it. But you know, and a lot of these are very low budget. This is a pretty sure a very low budget film. I don't know if it cost 50K or could it cost 100K. But it's probably wasn't. I don't think it was $1 million movie.
No.
Very limited space, it's just really outside in the desert, and very limited actors. I mean, even though they said there was like having 9 actors together like all the time,
Yeah.
that's a lot,
Yeah.
especially dealing with like scheduling and all this other stuff. So I give them kudos for and getting them all to do a whole week basically of this, that's kudos to them for able to get that done and whatnot. I would love to see more. I can't wait to see more stuff. I'm excited to see Allegoria and then see what's next, the next stuff that comes out with them and I want to see Chrissy Fox's movie Frank. I want to see that. So
I gotta put
but
those on my list too.
yeah, I mean when I was looking at it, I was just like, these people know what they're fucking doing, and now they have a company together, and they're just making shit, and stuff. And good. Well, I mean, he's in a big rock band that makes lots and lots of money, so I'm pretty sure he can fund this or get funding pretty easily, compared to like just a normal Joe who wants to go make a movie,
Yeah.
So I don't think like that, but I at least think he seems very humble, especially in the interviews I've seen with him, that he seems very humble and very proud of what he's doing and everything. He should be very proud. because this could have been bad. Um,
It
like
could have.
I'm telling you, watch Veronica, which is Danzig's movie. That
Okay.
that is so bad.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it is. We I did that for 31 days of indie horror back in 2020, and I was just like, you know, I started this during the lockdown and
Oh, that's
everything.
awesome.
Yeah, just for fun. And back then I was making the big mistake of doing it in October.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
trying to get one movie a day done.
Oh, my
And I'm
goodness.
like, nope, can't do that. At least I think I'm hopefully going to be done before October, but if I run into October, that's fine. Um, but anyway, I'm just very happy that this actually was really good, and I hope people see it, you know.
Too. I'm definitely going to
Uh,
recommend it.
it will get a Blu-ray at some point, they said.
Oh,
It's
cool.
just it's got like a certain amount of time that it has to be streaming for,
Mhm.
before they can put it on Blu-ray because, obviously got to make their money with the streaming stuff and everything, which I do suggest people check it out streaming first anyway. So don't just wait for the Blu-ray. Go see it on the streaming because that actually really helps the filmmakers,
Yeah.
and everything. And people complain so much, oh man, all the movies in Hollywood are all the same and blah blah blah. Then they won't go watch something like this, which, might have, similarities to things, even the twist is sort of from dusk till dawnish, but it's still a good twist and comes out of nowhere. And I've seen all these movies. I didn't see it coming,
Yeah.
So maybe Abigail stole from this,
Yeah.
you
The
know.
code open. Yeah.
You know.
But this was very well executed. And man, I'm glad to hear that it's going on a Blu-ray. It's a shame that so many things go to streaming and then stop there. But I love that it's going to a hard copy as well. And I
Well, that's the
wish the public
plan.
was that. Yeah.
And they said it would be maybe a few years because of the contract and stuff, but it'll eventually go on Blu-ray and because they did say that Allegoria is on Blu-ray,
Okay.
but that was like a Shutter release, and Shutter does have their own thing, has their own physical media line, you know.
Okay.
I see them at like, I buy them a few times at like Walmart, So I wonder if it's at my Walmart now. I don't know because I haven't never s- I never s- well, if I did see it, I looked it over because I just didn't know what it was. Now if I saw it, I'd be like, that's the movie that I need. $10, I'll get it.
You're right.
So that's what the prices are for like DVDs and Blu-rays these days.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cheap, but unless it's like a 4K Marvel movie or something. Um, and I did realize that I never thought about it, but Power Man 5000 came from Marvel, by the way,
Oh
because
wow.
Power Man was a character of Marvel, you know,
Okay.
and yeah, so he's a big Marvel fan,
Yay,
and
nerds. Rock on.
yeah,
I love it.
and he's a nerd rock star. Like, how
That's the
can
best. Yes.
right? I was so excited when I saw that because or heard that because I was like, all right. He talks about collecting nerd stuff. It was all on there's a great YouTube channel called the Rat Pack, and it's a group of uh uh it's a bunch of other podcasters who do other podcasts, and they all get together and do one.
Oh,
So
that's
I
really fun.
think I literally think my cat just said out,
Oh,
like he
jeez.
wanted to go out, so I
No
was like,
problem.
out. Yeah. I think he tries to communicate with me in English, but he can't really do it very well. Now he's under me, so I'm a little worried. Um,
If you say OUT too loud, you're going to wake up my dog. That's her favorite word.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, are there other favorite words like TREAT
Oh,
and
yes.
oh my goodness.
She's got the
Jesus.
talking buttons too. So if you did that, you'd be in trouble.
All
Oh
right,
my
he's coming up. Stop biting me. Go, go, shoot.
It's like a ghost coming through on the screen with
I
flash
know.
tail here and there.
Shoot. God dang. When this is done, I gotta just shoot him right out. Because he is a terror. I love him to death, but he does not like being cooped inside. He hates it. It's his he eats or he comes in because it's hot,
Oh yeah.
and I'm okay with that. But then I get him out, and he's like very happy to run out, and the neighborhood loves him. Like all the neighbors give him treats, I'm sure, because he comes
Oh
back
yeah.
fat and and loved. But all right, well, I guess that route wraps it up. Thank you so much, Haley.
Thank you.
Everybody else, check this movie out seriously, and get ready. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. So. Yeah. So until then, everybody, enjoy and talk to you later. Bye.